Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for a special workshop tonight. So a lot of you have been expressing interest in creating your first blog website, which is an alternative of Mia's usual typical workshops of teaching you all how to create your very first website. And she's actually really excited about this too. So Mia, do you want to go ahead and just give yourself like a quick introduction? Cover certain things that, a kind of a brief overview of like what we've covered so far, and then what we're going to be doing today.
Yeah, I can do that. So those of you who've been here, I'm Mia. I am a disabled mom of 4. I am also a full-time student at Kenzie for UX Engineering, which is fun as all get out. I teach here at CK. I'm also a squad leader. I'm married to the love of my life who reminds me of it every day.
That's me.
He's in the background. He always loves sitting in on these. And I build websites and mobile apps, and it's a passion of mine. One of my big things and one of my big motivators is because I'm disabled. I deal with physical and mental disability, and I want to make the world more accessible through tech. And so what I'm doing through UX design is I'm breaking down barriers and working for companies where they normally wouldn't put in the extra funds for accessibility content, and I'm just building it in there anyway. So that way we can break down these barriers and lift up. About 1/3 of the population in America is disabled. So we're going to lift up that population, make tech a little more accessible, make it so that they can make the money that they want to make and they can contribute to society in their own way. And then they'll reinvest in the companies that invested in them. So that is my big thing. I teach this class weekly, except for last week. I had no voice. I don't think I could teach very well that well. But I do weekly stuff, and so far we've gone over a lot of HTML and a lot of CSS, and I am going to go over some of those things today. And I just really want to bring you guys into the world of what I do. I've been blogging, and I have my blog, and I will pull it up and show you guys what it looks like. But I want to be able to share this experience with you, because sharing your story is the most powerful thing you can do no matter what you go into, but especially in tech. Because when you share your story, you make things more accessible, because someone out there is going to relate to something that you've been through. And when they watch you go through it and tackle those roadblocks and tackle anything that comes in your way, and they see you get to where you're going, that's going to give them the motivation to get there. And blogging is one of the best ways to do that. So we are going to learn how to blog today. Mostly we're going to learn how to build the framework of the website. This is going to be a multi-part series because a blog website takes a lot, but we're going to go over some of the basics today, some of the framework, and just kind of show you how everything pieces together.
I love it. So for the people that are on this call tonight, if you can't tell from just that first, quick couple of seconds and minutes of that introduction, Mia's energy is just absolutely contagious, and she has been a high contributing member to the Career Karma community since she's started. And so she's currently a squad leader, right? And has continuously found ways to just help others. And she really just embodies the ethos of what Career Karma is. For those of you that are just brand new to the app, she's, volunteered her time to just go ahead and help others get through the process that, she once was in before too. And so that's kind of the whole people helping people, philosophy. And so you all can very much find yourselves in this position as well. We love seeing people that like to give back, that like to contribute, that like to help people that are behind them. And we're always open to giving you all, resources and opportunities to give back any way that you can. And so also, if you would like to, ask questions from me either before or after all of these events, you all have access to her through squads, through direct messages, and through discussions, which we've recently launched. And also for, as we host these events, we have a ton of people that kind of RSVP to these, but then a handful of them actually show up. And so we actually want to, reward you all for taking the time to invest in yourselves. And so we kind of want to give you all access to this new feature that we're kind of releasing in 2 weeks. It's called the news feed, but also, and don't mention this to anyone yet because we haven't officially released it, but we do have a web app. And so I'll go ahead and attach that link into the chat. And I would love for you all to sign up to be a beta tester, to go ahead and give us that feedback, because it's super valuable for us to just be able to adjust accordingly and make discussions, the app, even the web app that we've released, as valuable as we can for the community. So I'll go ahead and throw that into the chat. Everyone, thank you all so much again for joining us, and I'll let Mia go ahead and take it away.
So a couple of things. For those of you who think that what I'm doing now is unattainable, while I have been coding on and off for 13 years, which is why I'm so familiar with HTML and CSS, I've only been a part of Career Karma as of December 3rd of last year, which means I've been here for a solid 3 months. That is not that much time, but this is what I dedicate my time in doing. You don't have to teach classes here. Being a squad leader, providing resources, and mostly just telling your story is some of the most powerful things that you can do in this community. 2, I am always available for DMs and chats. If you want to message me because you got questions about Kenzie, which I fully endorse and will tell everybody to go to because Kenzie is an amazing school, you are more than welcome to ask me. If you have questions about other boot camps, I got friends in other boot camps. I talk to them all the time, and I can direct you their way. If you have questions about HTML, CSS, even some JavaScript, though I'm going to probably push you towards some other people for the JavaScript because JavaScript is algebra and, you know, I know it, but I don't like it. So please don't be afraid to ask me for help. Like, this is what I spend my days doing. I am on my computer between 12 and 14 hours a day. This is what I love. This is why I do it. And so, like, I know it seems unattainable, but trust me, there are days before I get on here that I'm like, what am I doing? How am I teaching people all this stuff? Like, am I sure I know what I'm doing? It happens to all of us. It's called imposter syndrome. You're going to fight it a lot in the tech industry, but let me tell you what, as long as you're open to learning new skills, you're always going to be open to being an amazing person and achieving all of your goals. So with that all being said, let me check chat one more time before I can't see it anymore. So Katie, per your comment in the chat, if you want to get a hold of me sometime, I can totally give you some tips and tricks. I have a friend of mine in my class who actually has MS, and she shared with me a lot of the tricks that she uses to get through class. So I have no problem sharing that with you. You don't need to be on a laptop. All of these are recorded. So you are more than welcome to sit here, absorb the information, and if you want to go back over it later, you are more than welcome to do that. They will be uploaded to Career Karma's YouTube page, which you should be checking out frequently because they upload a lot of stuff there. So with that all being said, let's go ahead and get this party started as soon as I get my computer to work with me here. There it is. So the ultimate goal here is going to be you guys being able to do the same things that I'm doing. Now we're going to wait for this to load because I'm sharing, so it's going to take a minute, and that's okay. This is my blog. I upload it once a week because I do way too much stuff, so if I try to upload any more frequently than that, I will drive myself insane. All of this is done in HTML and CSS. You could do this shooting stars in JavaScript, but that's a little much. It has multiple pages. All the links work. This is a live site that you can visit on your off time. The link is thesilentwars.netlify.com. So this is going to be my ultimate goal for you guys over the next couple of weeks, is that you'll be able to do everything you see here and or more, and just kind of show me what you got, because I love seeing what you guys come up with, because inevitably every perspective is worth seeing. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to explain what we already have here. This editor is one that I am in love with. It's called VS Code. It's called VS Code, and it is my favorite coding software. It's available for all platforms as far as I know. And it's just really super user-friendly, especially when you're beginning. It will help you close tags that need to be closed. It will sometimes prompt you for certain color matrices. It's just a very nice little helper when you're just starting. It's also really nice for those of us who are more experienced, because then we can kind of speed through, though I will go slow tonight, I promise. So I've created an HTML file. Now the first file that you want to create in any website needs to be named index. Naming it index tells whatever place you upload it to that this is your home page, that this is the first page that it needs to open, and everything needs to be built off of this page. So we're going to start off with an index HTML, and then I created a folder for my CSS because I don't like things to get messy. and we're going to put an index CSS in there, and we will link these two. It's also good to have a little file folder for any images that you may use on your website, because you want them to upload with the website and not be reliant on other web pages that are hosting those images. So one of my favorite things about VS Studio is the Emmet abbreviation, exclamation point, enter, and you now have the basis for a website. It comes up with your doc type, which language it's going to be in, all of your meta characteristics, which tells it how to scale the website, how it should look, what reference points are we using, is it, you know, a 1.0, is it a 1.5, what are we doing with it? It can get kind of crazy. But we're going to call this the CK blog. No, I'm not trying to steal CK's blog. That blog is very informative and wonderful. But for the essence of what we're doing here, I'm going to call it CK blog. And we're just going to throw some stuff up here. We'll put a header in with H1 text, which is the biggest heading text that they have. It's also what you should put any title under. And again, we're going to put CK blog, because what this up here, this is going to show in the tab that you have open, while this is going to show on the actual website itself. And I will show you what that looks like. Bear with me. See, CK blog is here and CK blog is up here. Okay, so now we have some stuff going on. Fair warning, my Chrome is actually inverted. So that's why we have white text and a black background. Normally you will have white text or white background with black text. But I have problems with color differentiation. So we inverted the Chrome so I could use it more often. Moving on. Now, with the index, let's say we don't want black background. What do we want? We want green, we want pink. Let's do orange. CK is orange, right? So let's do body, background, orange. You have a list of preconceived colors. There's plenty of references on the interwebs that will allow you to get different ways to get to whatever color you want to. One of my favorite things about VS Code when it works is that little thing you saw for a half second there, this. This is an actual color palette that you can drag the little icon around and you can customize your color. So if I wanted it more orange or less orange, I could do so with that. Now, I'm a little picky, so I don't like to mess with that too much, but to link your CSS to your HTML, this is something we've gone over before, but I go over it again for the sake of, you know, wholesomeness. We're going to link our style sheet, and its type equals text / CSS, and then href equals. Now, to get inside a folder, as you can see, VS Code brings up my folders for me, but I still like to type it out because it's a good habit to get into. So I type it out, index.css. And now, when I go back to this web page, we should be able to see the change wherever the page went. There it is. Look, now it's orange with white text. Now, white text is kind of annoying though. Let's change that to forcibly be a different color. Text color, no, font color. I think that's one. No, it's just color. Haha. See, been doing this for 13 years and I still make mistakes. Yeah, let's do black. See if that'll overwrite my automatic stuff here. That's not what I wanted. Nah, it's still gonna come up white. You know what? For the sake of everything that's holy, if you guys ever wanted to know how to do what I've done with this, you go to Chrome / flags. You would normally have to search for dark, but because I have it enabled, it's already up there. We're gonna go default, relaunch, and look, now everything's back to the way it is, and our text is black now, because I don't want to sit here and fight with it. So there's that. Let's get back into VS Code. That's not VS Code. No. Yes. Close that. For those of you who don't know what I'm moving around right now, there is a little bar when you share stuff, and it likes to get in the way. Okay, there we go. Now we're back. So now we've kind of seen how to do some body elements. We got a header over here. Why don't we go ahead and text align everything center? Because I like it that way. Y'all may not, but text align, you can left align, right align, center, justify, whatever your heart's content. But you know, I like to center stuff. Go ahead and click this. Now it's in the center. Look, stuff's working. That's always nice. That needs to go away. You know what? Let's close that. There we go. Now we're back in here. Let's make a div, navigation. So that's a quick way to make div elements. You do dot navigation or period navigation, and it'll automatically create a div element for you. I am going to create H2, go nav, because we're doing this for speed. And then we're going to make a paragraph element, and we're going to go blog 1. Now, see, you guys see blog, nav, blog 1. Cool. Now we're going to make a new one. We're going to go new file, and we're going to call this blog 1 HTML because it's important. At the same time, we're going to go in the CSS folder, and we're going to make a blog CSS. Now, the reason I don't call this blog 1 is because we're going to make a blog CSS that applies to all of our blogs, and then you use ID to change the way certain elements behave. Makes it easier in the long run, but you'll see when we get there what I mean by that. So we're going to press enter. Now we have our blog. Move that over. We have our index, our blog, and our blog. So let's go ahead and start this part up again. Why is my keyboard not working now? Lord Almighty. All right, moving to the computer. Technical issues shall not stop us today. So there we go. We're going to change the document again to CK blog. And we are going to create a header. And then another H1 element, because this is a whole nother page, right? And this is blog 1. 1. We'll go main text. This is called camel case, where you capitalize not the first, but the second word. And you'll capitalize every word after it, but you want to make sure that you use it because it helps differentiate when you're reading it what you're referring to. So we're going to make a div element called main text. And H2, main text. And then we're going to add a paragraph element here. And I'm going to show you guys one of my favorite little things. Lorem ipsum is a text that we use for space fillers in design. Lorem ipsum makes this nice, elaborate text for when you're not ready to fill in something. It's really good for testing certain elements and testing the way that things will behave without having to write everything and, you know, worry about losing some of what you've written. So you can see all of our lorem ipsum here. We're going to go ahead and go up here into the HTML. We got to link this up. So you guys are more than welcome to ask questions while I am typing.
Yeah, everyone that's on this chat right now, you also have to keep in mind that there's a difference between going through some tutorials and also going through a walkthrough where someone is with you live and is able to answer questions as you get lost or confused at any point along the way. So feel free to go ahead and unmute yourselves, or actually, yeah, don't try not to write in the chat, just because when Mia's in full screen, she can't really read the chat. So please unmute yourselves and feel free to stop her whenever you get lost or you have any questions. I highly recommend you guys go ahead and use that resource.
So the reason I tell you guys to unmute yourself while I'm doing this is because if you're getting lost or I'm moving too fast, those are all feedback things that I need to know. But please do remember that this, again, is recorded, and it's recorded for you guys to be able to go back over it. I am showing you a tutorial on how to do things, not a walkthrough, because if I walk you through it, then you're going to have to create the same thing I'm creating, and I don't want that. I want to see what you guys create, and that's what a tutorial is for. So we have our new blog here. Yeah.
With the blog, do you have to only do it in VS Code, or can you do it in another sandbox like CodePen
You
or
can
something
use
like that?
whatever coding system works best for you. The basics that I go over are basic HTML and basic CSS, so they work no matter what kind of sandbox you're using.
Okay. One more question.
Mm-hmm.
Does blog does everything like code wise, does it always have to start with HTML, CSS, and Java, or can it be wrote in a different language?
You can write them in React, you can write them in JS Query, you can write them, there's so many languages out there, it's insane. But the reason I write my blog in HTML and CSS is because HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are the bases for every other type of language out there. So if you can comprehend HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you have the foundation to go anywhere else. Because I know JavaScript, I've been able to help people write in Python. I've been able to help people write in C#, which is used mostly for gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been able to just problem solve with people based on what limited things I know that aren't even from the same language, because JavaScript was the basis for those languages. So that's why I always encourage everybody to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, because when you know the basics, you have built a beautiful foundation on which to build the house of any other language.
Okay, thank you. That helped me with my question.
Yeah, no problem. So this div class is main text. And I don't like my text to go everywhere. So we are going to do a fun thing with, and we're going to go 85%. I work in pixels and percentages. They just work better for me. Everybody has their thing. There's a lot of different ways that you can quantify how big or small something should be. But with, in this percentage, works out pretty well for me. So now you can see it's not as big as it used to be. We're going to go back over here. Go away. And we are going to, not there. It needs to be in the parent element. Align items, center, justify, content.
I had a
And I
quick
forgot my space
question.
there. Yep.
I am downloading the Visual Studio Code. This is my second day. I'm about 16 hours into this entire course, but should I be taking other courses before I join you, or am I okay to be in this class, or how does...
You are 100% okay to be in this class. What I will encourage you to do is, because some of these elements I've already gone over, if you have questions that you feel uncomfortable with asking in class, if you write them down and put them in the website workshop squad or personally message them to me after this, I always get back to all of the messages that are sent to me, and I can link you to the YouTube videos from our previous courses, so that way you can see what we've done. All of my videos, all of my workshops go up on the CK website, which I appreciate so much, Alvin. But you can find all of our information there. And I do start off with all of the basics. So if you are feeling overwhelmed with this, I do encourage you to stay so you can kind of see what we're doing, even if it's a little confusing. And then after this, go ahead and go back through our previous workshops and see if it makes a little more sense that way. Sometimes retroactive learning is the best way to do something. But diving in is wonderful.
Perfect, thank you.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Now it's all nice and centered. So now we have a blog, and we have an index page. But how do we link the two? Well, it's quite simple. We're going to go over here and we are going to create a reference point, or a link rather. And you can link within your own websites. So we're going to go here, and I'm going to go blog1.html. We're going to go over, and this is going to do some fun stuff. We are going to take this piece because we want it to link to this text, or the link to be in this text. And now we've created a link. So we're going to go back over here, or not. Try this. Ha-ha. We're going to refresh that. There we go. Oh, now look, it looks like a link. Let's click it. And it takes us to our blog. Now this is the basis for every part of blogging. You create pages, like your main page, your about page, your contact page. These pages are so you can show other people what you can do and how to do it. And then you write your blogs, and you make a blog index and list all your blogs there. So this is the basis of the beginning of what I wanted to show you guys. This is the basis of the beginning of the websites that I have done. And next week, I am going to show you how to make an about page, a contact page, and how to make a banner that actually contains everything. And it will all be built off of what we have already done, though I might change the text a little bit. So any questions? Anything that you guys want to know more about that I can show you while I'm in here? The floor is yours. It is quiet tonight.
What's the nitty thing that you all talk about?
The what thing?
I don't know, you always talk about nitty something.
Netlify.
Yeah, what is that?
Netlify is a hosting page. I'll show you how it works real quick. Netlify is who I host through. They're one of my favorites because they're very, very simple, user-friendly. I have mine set to auto login, so you don't get to see any of my login all of my login stuff. So sorry for those of you who wanted to be able to mess with my stuff, you can't. So here you can see all the different things. Like I have our CK project here. And this actually takes me to the web page for the CK project whenever it finishes loading. This was our first project. This was the original HTML that we had built together. And this is also covered in the first couple of workshops where we kind of just customize this, go over what headers are, what text is, and how to play with images. So that's that one. When I want to do new deploys, which is just uploading new content, I go to my deploy section. I scroll all the way to the bottom to this little area, and you go into your files. I'm pretty organized with all of mine, but CK project is right here, and I would take this and drag it right into that little lit up square rectangle, sorry, and leave it there. And it will upload everything and then update my website. For instance, this is my blog, as I've already shown you. If I go into my deploys, scroll to the bottom, open up my files, go in here, go into my projects, the Silent Wars, and now you can see it says last published at 5:31 p.m. I'm Pacific time, so it's still early in the day for me. And now we'll go clicky on it. And look, it still works because I have changed absolutely nothing since my last upload. The things about Netlify that I love the most are just its ease of use. The fact that the little one in the background likes to scream, and the fact that you can do so much with it without having to overwork yourself. So my overview, I have a section down here where you can see recent form submissions. I'm not going to give you guys that information, but I actually have a form on my website underneath my contact form where you can sign up to get email notifications of all of my new posts. So all of this information, which is usually a back-end type of programming that I don't know how to do yet, instead of me having to learn an entire new programming language that I'm not comfortable nor am I wanting to learn right at this moment, I can make a form in here Netlify actually goes over exactly how to do it. It's in their analytics and testing stuff, and then in their forms, obviously. But they have this nice little link here that shows you how to make up forms for them and how to make it so that the forms work. So they can collect the data and then they quantify it for you, make it all nice and organized, and then they throw it up here into your active forms, and you can check that at all times. So they have little features like that that are wonderful. You also get to customize your website name, your URL, which you usually have to pay for a domain. Having the Netlify in there is kind of obnoxious sometimes, but you being able to customize this without having to pay for it is just a nice little feature that they allow. It is limited in some ways, but for the beginner, Netlify is 100% the way to go, and I would never ever steer anyone anywhere else unless I knew that they could do the same things and more than Netlify currently does. Does that answer your question, Lauren?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any other questions?
No, but I tried to Google your stars online and I couldn't find them.
How to make the shooting stars in the background?
Yeah.
You want to
I
see the code for it? Let's go here. I'll show you guys the background code. I actually upload the code from my blog to my GitHub, which is linked. And I can grab that after I do this and put it in the chat if you guys want to check out my GitHub. I upload all of our projects onto GitHub because I want you guys to be able to open it and look at it as you want. So the HTML for my shooting stars is all right here. They're div elements. And then the CSS is where it gets fun. I gotta move you guys over the other side for me. As you can see, my CSS is a lot, but it starts here. And this is a comment, so that way I know where it starts. And it ends there. So all of this that you see highlighted over here is how much code I had to do in CSS.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's confusing.
It looks confusing, but I'll break it down for you real quick. Star container is the container that holds all of the stars. This is what decides what angle they shoot at and where they're located. So all of this code right here is just to contain it and decide what path it's allowed to take or what area it's allowed to work in. All of this right here is just the coding for the star itself. It's the coding that makes it a dot that travels across the screen. This code also adds the tail. So it's a dot that now has a tail. So when it moves across the screen, the tail grows to a certain length and then follows the dot. And the shooting is what makes it spark out. So that's what makes it look like little X's as it goes across. Before and after translate, so it shows how it moves across the screen. All of this, the nth child 1, nth child 2, all of this determines how often it goes off. So how often does each star shine? It shows where it starts and how long it goes before it ends. That's all determined in all these star afters. Now I have 15, I want to say, different stars that I have shooting across the screen. So obviously that whole section, which is from here to here, would be a lot less if I had less stars. I always suggest starting off with 3 to 5 if you're going to attempt this, and move them around, see how they work. Try to break things. When you code, try to break things. You live for your failures, because when you can break something and then you learn how to fix it, you have now successfully tested your own code. And it's a wonderful feeling to really understand how things work and just be able to play with it and see it. Mechanically minded people do this all the time. It's why we take stuff apart for fun. The animations, this shows, this is for the tail. So at what point during the shooting does the tail grow? So keyframes do it in percentages from 0 to 100%. At 0, obviously, I don't want the tail to just shoot off the star from the very beginning. I want it to grow with the star. So I put it at 30% because that's about when the star gets far enough away. So it will continue to grow that tail, and then at 30%, that tail moves with it. And then once it hits the end, it condenses upon itself. That's what this does. And then the shining is what determines how far out the X goes at the end of or at the beginning of the star. And so at 0, obviously, the star's just starting to come into your view. At 50, that's when I wanted it to be as big as I could make it within reason. And then at 100, I wanted it to both go away as well as the tail. And then the shooting determines how the actual distance that it will travel. So mine travel 500 pixels. And that's just a definitive distance. So from point A to point B, from their start to their end is 500 pixels every time. So it seems like a lot, and it's probably still mildly confusing, but that's what it is. And I totally encourage you guys to go to my GitHub, which I will grab right now, and go take the code, because I've shown you which parts of my code actually relate to the stars. Go take my code and play with it. Copy it, use it for yourself, and play with it and see what you guys can come up with and figure it out. There's chat. Scroll down here. Ooh, I missed a lot.
Yeah, I'm just learning, so.
Oh, no, you're good. I love all the questions. And the reason, so the way that I do these, as you can tell, is that we usually spend the first 30 minutes talking about what we're going to do and then going over whatever we're going to do. And then I open up the butt end of it, the last 30 minutes, so that you guys can ask as many questions as you want, even if they're trivial. And I know that some people just aren't comfortable asking questions. So I like to give the availability of, like, you guys can get a hold of me afterwards, or you can post it in a way where you're not putting yourself out there. But I do love answering them here, because you don't know what question that you have that somebody else might have, and they're too afraid to ask. So I always encourage people to ask questions.
Well, I haven't coded anything yet.
Well, it's a good place to start.
Yeah.
I'm going to back out of that real quick. So again, the YouTube. Do you have that link up yet, Melvin, on the chat for the YouTube?
Yeah, let me go ahead and grab that.
Thank you. I'll have him link the YouTube so you guys can pull it up while you're in here. The YouTube will actually be one of your biggest resources when you're just starting, because I do go over the basic elements. I explain what they do, how to play with them. I go over CSS for it, and then encourage you to do the same. Doing it through the videos is sometimes even easier, because you can do it at your leisure. You can pause the video if you need to walk away from it. It's a little more user-friendly. Whereas being in here, it's a little more interactive, so that way you can ask questions about stuff and you can kind of get ahead of what you're doing, so that way you know where you're going.
Okay.
Hey, Mia, somebody said you should hack yourself.
No. As fun as that is, I'm okay. A little more work than I want to. I said white hat.
Oh, my bad. I didn't see that part.
Yeah, I just saw it, so I was like, oh. And I'm going to take the email that was left in here and put that in somewhere. There. Okay, so I have that saved. Hey, day 3 is a wonderful place to be. I remember when I first started Career Karma, everything was so much. Like, there was so many things that I could do, and it felt like a lot to take in. And as Career Karma adds more stuff, sometimes it can feel overwhelming. One of the biggest things that you have to know about being here is that we all want to help. So you can message just about anybody, and if you're having problems with anything, if they don't know the answer, they know where to find the resources. So please, like, even if you don't feel comfortable asking on here, reach out and ask somebody. because we all want to see each other succeed. That's the whole reason in being a part of Career Karma. That's the whole foundation on where we are. I wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't have the amazing coaches that I did, if I didn't have the support of the squads that I do. Like, that all led to me being here. So you guys can do it too. It's, I mean, if the broken lady who's allergic to water can be sitting here in a class, then you guys can do it too. And yes, I am actually allergic to water. So I always get that question after I say something about it. But you guys can do it too, 100%. You guys are more than capable. I know it seems like a lot right now, but I believe in you. And if you need help, you've only to ask. Oh, Brian, so the stars, I found those after 3 hours of Googling it. I knew how keyframes worked, but a lot of the things that you'll find in software development is that a lot of the time we will tell you to Google it, because learning how to find the resources yourself is a really, really good skill to have. So I spent a lot of time Googling, trying to find the right type of stars that I wanted that would do the things that I wanted them to do. And then I copied the original code that I found, and I did exactly what I tell you guys to do. I sat there and I played with it for another like 5 hours until I figured out every iota of how it worked. And then I started from scratch. I set all of that playtime aside and I started from scratch, wrote the code completely by hand. And that was how I really locked it in for being able to use it. Now, I know that sounds like a lot of time. Mind you, I got 4 kids, so a lot of the time I'm getting up and sitting down and getting up and sitting down. So for some people, it's not going to take as long. For some people, it'll take even longer, but you got to go at your pace, and just keep trying. Like I said, breaking it is some of the funnest stuff. I have broken my website more times than I can count. I even accidentally deleted all my files and had to rewrite the whole thing. That was fun.
No.
I know it sounds like this horrible thing, but it was one of the best things that happened to me when I lost my website, because one of the worst things to do is to build a whole website and then you have to go back and fix certain elements. And it is tedious because you have to go in and fix each element and then go over to the CSS and fix that. And so when I lost everything, I used it as a chance to revamp my entire website based on what I had learned in the like week that I had it up. And it turned into what you see now. It used to just be a black background with a creepy guy coming out being like, come on in. And like everything was on a black background with white text and it was just very plain looking, but I was so proud of it. And now I'm like, I don't even mess with the background or any of the elements on it. I just add new stuff to it every week because I love the way it looks. The biggest story about the galaxy is actually I didn't know what I wanted to put on the background, and I tend to code a lot at night. I'm a night owl. I got kids, so it's the only time that I can really sit and do anything. And I was so frustrated because I just couldn't think of something that felt original to me. And so I was sitting in here and my husband's snoring because he's sleeping. My kids are snoring because they're sleeping. And I just needed to get away from it. So I went out onto my porch and I kind of leaned back on my railing and I looked up and I saw this massive amount of stars because I live in a very small town. So I don't have a lot of light pollution. And you could just see the galaxies and the Milky Way and the Big Dipper and Cassiopeia. And then a meteor shower happened. And I was looking at it and I was like, the peace that I feel right now, that's what I want people to feel when they look at my website. And that was my inspiration for building my website the way that it is. And now people are like, oh, that's so cool. And I'm like, it's peaceful to me because I'm done building it. But that was what inspired me to do it. And, you wouldn't know that just by looking at it. You also wouldn't know how difficult or how much code went into it just by looking at it. But that's part of my story that I share is like, before I coded that, I had a very, very limited knowledge about keyframes. And now I understand how they work and I can explain them to other people, all because I sat and played with it for 8 hours. So you can learn anything. And the internet is a wonderful resource. It's just about applying yourself and knowing where to look. And when you don't know where to look, ask a friend, because chances are we found it before.
So I have a question.
What you got?
Is it Is it possible to go to someone else's site and look up the source code and just like copy from there and then play with that on your
You
own?
can. Most of the time, you're only going to see the HTML or the JavaScript. The CSS doesn't tend to come up very easily, and you usually have to do a little bit of digging. But yeah, if you right click on a website and go to inspect or source code, then it will pull up usually to the right on your browser. So that way you can see, so that way you can see the HTML coding that went behind it, or the base code, whatever language that they used. Which again is why I say you got to learn HTML. Like, it's a must. Sometimes it seems tedious, but man, is it worth it.
Right, because it helps out when you look at other people's stuff too.
It does. And I do a lot of stuff where I have people in my classes now, like at Kenzie, who are learning the same stuff that you guys are learning from me. And they're going and building their stuff. They're like, hey, can you like go look at this and see what I broke? And I will just go in and be like, yeah. And I go to their source code instead of having to wait for their files to upload. And I go to their source code and I'll look at their HTML and be like, it looks like you kind of coded this part wrong. You know, you missed a space or you missed a asterisk or whatever else that they need to have in there. And by testing other people's stuff and going through and proofreading it, it's actually made me a better coder, because then I remember the things that are common errors and can steer clear of those a little bit easier.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. As far as my blog goes, I blog about the stuff that I learn in Kenzie every week, or the stuff that I'm personally going through every week, because again, sharing your story is important. So if you want to learn more about my disability, you're more than welcome to go to my blog. My most recent post is all about the 3 main things that I deal with in my disability. But before that, I go over stuff that we're learning in UX engineering. So if you want a sneak peek into bootcamp life at Kenzie Academy for the UX engineering, you are more than welcome to pop over there and check it out. You don't have to subscribe. That's not what I'm asking for. But I always do love the feedback on how your navigation experience was. Feedback makes me a better coder. So
I do have a question too.
Yeah.
So I actually have gotten into General Assembly, but there was like no females at all with the software development immersion. So I'm trying to get into Flatiron, and there's another school in Denver, but I didn't get in there, which is okay because that wasn't my path. And I have disabilities as well. I have MS. So I'm just trying to see the best fit. And I was going to maybe talk to you another time about Kenzie, just because I don't know if my situation, I'm trying to do in person, but Flatiron has it. You can do your own pace at home. So I might do that as well. But with UX, UI design, I was interested, but when I went and, did like shadowing at all the schools, and I asked at General Assembly about, would it be better if I did full software development immersion? So that's, front and back end compared to just UX, UI design. I was told by the people that help with getting jobs, they were like, do the software development because you'll have a better full background of everything than just the UX, UI design, and you still learn the same things you would learn in UX, UI design, but more.
So
I was just
will
asking,
say that Kenzie is a little different than that, because our UX engineering course, we do 6 months that's specifically designed where we don't touch code whatsoever. We go over design, what best practices are, learning about users and how to design for users, learning about prototyping and wireframing and what elements go good together, contrast, accessibility. That's all integrated at Kenzie. And then we spend the second half learning front-end coding. I will tell you, as being the person that I am, I'm going for UX engineering, and that is my path. I'm beyond passionate about what I'm doing because I'm doing it for people like me to make it easier for us to get into tech, period, end of story, full stop. However,
and I want to
am
do that as well.
build...
Actually, I went to Denver Startup Week and asked, because I said I got into a boot camp and I'm trying to get into others, but like, where's the platform for people with disabilities, which 50% of the population, which most people don't know, that are being misrepresented. And people say they have diversity, but like the one boot camp I didn't get into, they do not represent people with disabilities. So, and I'm in Voc Rehab, which a lot of people don't know about that either. If you were either a veteran or you have a disability, it's through state government that you can get paid to go back to school to learn a new skill to get back in the workforce. So there are Zoom calls from Career Karma, and people were like, what is this? And there was other people that had MS, other people that had other illnesses, and they're like, what is this? So I told the same thing. No one medically had told me. I was told by someone in the tech industry. So the same thing with me is I want to build apps and websites and resources for people to access, because my care team didn't do their job. And I feel like all the people I've met on Career Karma that have MS, same thing. Like they've never heard about it. This one woman, she was in her 60s and she's like, I've never even heard of this. I'm like, what? So I'm pissed. And I bet you are too with your same things.
All the time.
And the fastest way to do that is through tech.
Yeah.
So.
No, and I totally get where you're coming from. I will be 29 this summer. I actually graduate from the design portion of my course on my birthday. So I'm super excited about that. But
so I'm 34, so I'm a little older, but I'm just saying,
age is just a number, love.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, but I'm
Except
so
for when it
pissed
comes to your
because
phones.
this woman in her 60s was like, yeah, I've never even heard of Voc Rehab. And I'm like, your care team has done you so much disservice. And so that's what I want to just like help people that don't have anyone, nor people telling them the right information to like, hey, here are resources.
Hearing your passion, I'm going to tell you what my path was.
Okay.
And if you pull anything from that, good on you. If it doesn't apply to you, then that works too. But this is what I have. Last year, I worked my body to the point where I can never work a physical manual labor job again. It's just out of the option. My hips are completely destroyed. I actually just saw an orthopedist who specializes in my degenerative disorder, which is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, FLNA type. And he flat out told me I have the bones of an 80-year-old woman. I am 29. That's not a good thing. And I lost hope. I was going through all of the little things that I could do because I have passed it on 100% to my children, and I didn't want them to lose hope like I did.
Yeah.
And I broke down, and I thought my life was over. I thought I was going to be 28 and a vegetable, no contribution to society. And I was in a really dark place. And I happened to be on Facebook one day because, social media for us disabled people is the everything. It's how we interact with the outside world when we're having those hard times. And I came across Career Karma. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. And I came across Career Karma, and their little advertisement on Facebook was just so intriguing and so colorful and just so skillfully designed. And I was like, you know what? To hell with it. Like, I used to do coding. I really want to see what this is about. So I opened it up, and it was just like, hey, sign up, do this, do this, do this. And I was like, I have no motivation. I don't even know if I want to be alive right now. My life looks like I am staring at the wrong end of a tunnel and there's a train coming fast. And I don't know if I want to be here. And my husband looks at me and he goes, well, what is that? And I was like, it's some coding thing. And he was like, well, don't you love coding? Like, I thought you wanted to go back into coding. And I was like, I do, but with my disability, I don't know how I'm going to work this out. And most of these schools that I know of are like in person and all this stuff. And I was so disheartened. And he was like, just try it. Just try it. So I'm like, okay, worst thing's going to happen is this is going to flounder. And I'm going to be in the same position I'm at anyway, which is something I try to live by. You're never going to give me an answer other than no, which leaves me in the same position anyway. So what's the harm in asking? So December 3rd, at like 7:00 at night, I'm downloading Career Karma, and it's like, day 1, do this challenge, share on Twitter. And I'm like, I hate Twitter. Like, just every roadblock that you could think of, everything that I hated about social media. And it's like, do this. And I'm like, really, guys? So I do my day 1 stuff, and I'm like, whatever, I'm in a bad mood. We'll give it another shot. So day 2 pops up, and it's like, hey, you should do this because this is how it's going to help you. And I was like, all right, okay, let's do this. And so I get to day 2. Yeah, I still hate Twitter, by the way, for anybody wondering. I use it every day, hate it. So I get through day 2. Day 3, my coach gets a hold of me. He's like, hey, how are you? This is my name. This is where I go to school. What's up? Well, how can I help you? And I was just like, look, I'm not in a place to talk. Kind of a grumpy introvert. Really don't want to talk to y'all. And she was like, you know what? That's cool. You have my phone number. Get a hold of me if you need anything. And I was like, wait, did you just leave me alone when I asked you to? Interesting. All right. And so now I'm picking up speed. And I start getting into squads because sometimes it takes a little while.
I created a squad, so because that's what I was just like, yeah.
Good. But
people are not really active, so that's either like okay, like post
I'll give you
every
tips and
day with
tricks on
people.
that later.
Yeah, I'm just like,
I run Moms Who
here's
Code,
this
which has
event,
almost
here's this
400
going
people.
on, and nothing. So
Yeah, I got you. So I'm picking up speed. I'm slowly starting to feel better.
so
I hadn't touched HTML in a few years, and so I was picking it back up, and Career Karma opened up this realm of possibility for me. It was like,
yeah,
hey, here's free resources. Here's stuff you can do from your bed when you're not feeling good. Here's stuff you can do on your phone when you don't feel like picking up your computer and you want to chuck it against a wall. Like, here's stuff that you can do where you're at. And Career Karma
yeah.
really met me where I was at. And within a week, I was connected with Kenzie. I ended up with 2 coaches. Both of them are students at Kenzie Academy. I called into Kenzie, I joined the Kenzie squad, and I was just like grilling people, like, what's the values like? What's everything about? Like, tell me everything. And a lot of people said that it was a very family oriented place. They were very much about helping you. And I wanted to be a part of that. Obviously, I'm still here at Career Karma. So
Just
obviously
a
that
side
kind of
note
stuff.
too, you should totally listen to the podcast with the founder.
Oh yeah, no, I
of
know.
Career.
I talk to Chalk
Yes.
all the time.
Yeah,
I
he's
talk to
amazing.
Chalk.
Like
I
that
talk to
podcast
Ruben
is so
on
great. And
occasion.
after
I talk
listening
to
to that,
Timur and
I'm like,
Archer.
I need to look into Kenzie just because like hearing that from their podcast, I was like, he sounds so amazing.
Oh
So
yeah, no, it gets better. I'm gonna tell you some things about Chalk that you're gonna love. Anyway, so I do my interview with Kenzie Academy, and I applied at like Lambda and Thankful. Glad I got into Lambda. Glad I didn't go. I got into Thankful, but then found out that they don't service Oregon area, which is where I'm at. They don't have a license for the state. So I was like,
okay.
cool. I'm in Kenzie. I don't care. They
Yeah.
called me the day after I sent in all my submissions, which was the day I did all of my stuff. The day they asked me to do it, they gave you like 3 to 5 days. I did it the
Okay.
night of because I had
Yeah.
a bunch of stuff going on. They call me. I'm literally crying in the middle of a hospital because I'm so excited. And I think back to a week and a half ago, I didn't know if I wanted to live. And here I am signing up for a year-long boot camp. What the hell am I doing? And I just didn't let myself lose that motivation. I started free code camp. I went to Kenzie Free. I started bugging the crap out of Artur and Timur and Ruben. What can I do? How can I help? Where can I get involved? What can I do to give back? And at first they were like, you've been here 2 weeks. What are you doing? Slow your roll. Like, calm down. We're going to start you over here. Like, we see you. We want you to start over here. And that's where I started doing squad lead for Moms Who Code, which I freaking love that group. One of my favorite squads. Code Famiglia is another squad that I'm a part of.
We love you too.
Love you, Lauren. And then I got to actually go to Kenzie. January 28th was my start date. I was so nervous. I woke up.
Congratulations, by the way, too.
Thanks. I woke up
Yeah.
at 1 o'clock in the morning. I I didn't have to be in school till 6. And I'm just like diving deep, opening everything. We went through orientation week, which was a whirlwind, and Chalk was there. And I have now talked to Chalk on Twitter. I have talked to him in person. I have gotten to lead conversations with him. He is an amazing person. Kenzie's named after his daughter. He is completely transparent, no bullshit. He's not going to blow smoke up your butt. He's actually active in our Kenzie group. So if you want to join the Kenzie Academy group to learn more, you can see everything that he does there. He is just one of the most heartfelt people who just cares so damn much. And when I brought up to him, first time I met him, I was like, look, these are my disabilities, these are my limitations, and I'm going to school and I'm giving it my all, and nothing is going to stop me. But I want to work remotely. So logistically speaking, what is the best advice you can give me right here at the start of my journey? And he looked me dead in the face over a Zoom call. And he goes, you're going to have to work harder than everyone else because you're going to come out of this a junior developer and you have to prove that they can let you work on your own and you're not going to get lost. You're going to keep your time management up. You're going to have everything together. And he was like, if this is what you want to do, here's the people to get a hold of. Here's what you do. And this is what you need to accomplish. And he just laid it out on the table for me. He didn't bat an eye at the disability. He didn't make me feel any sort of way about it. And from the moment that I started at Kenzie, I have never, like the way I talk to you guys about my disability is the same way I talk to my classmates at Kenzie, my facilitators, my staff members, all of my career stuff. It's all the same. And there have been days that were so hard, I thought I was going to quit. And these people picked me up and put me right back on my track and said, we're not going to let you down. We're not going to let you quit. You have what it takes. Kenzie is my family. And I have no issue with any other school. I wasn't trying to down talk anybody else, but flat out, Kenzie and Career Karma are my homes. Y'all saved my life. And there's nothing I can do that will ever repay that. But if I can help just one person through the shit that I do on here, sign me up every day, every time, and I will be here.
And I want to do similar. I want to help people in my position or worse. So I don't know too about like what you deal with day to day. With MS, it's really unpredictable what's going to happen day to day. So it's literally too, and the doctors are like, yeah, question mark, we really don't know. And like neurologists and people like that, doctors should know way more, but they just are like, we don't know, sorry. So
And
like
love,
this week,
here's what
I
I'm
started
gonna
new
tell
treatment.
you. With all of that,
What up?
I'm going to tell you this. You decide where your limitations are.
Yeah.
It's expensive to get accessible shit. You know that as well as I do, but you decide where your limitations are. And anybody who is disabled, who is listening to this now or in the future, I want you to remember that you decide where your limitations are. There is always a way around what you're going through. And if you can't figure it out, you come find me. My name is here. I am on Career Karma. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn. My tag is Mrs. Silent War, and it is that tag on everything because it talks about my silent war with my disability. And if you can't figure out how to get around it, you come bug me because this is our lives and we are taking them back, and your disability will not ruin this for you. That I promise you.
No, I want to do this to show other people with MS that they can do this too. And that also that like, again,
100%.
every person has MS and probably similar. I know you said you're one of 5 with your thing, but like it's different. So my body's different and brain is different than any other person who has MS.
Right.
So I understand
MS
that
affects
too.
everybody differently. It's a wonderful thing to look at medically, but a horrible thing to go through.
So, but I'm just saying, I want to show people with MS that like when they get their diagnosis, they can use Voc Rehab to go to a boot camp to learn tech skills to help others and to get into the industry and not have a shitty job and to be able to do something where their lives, where they matter. Because again, I don't want people to feel like you did. And I've had dark times as well too, but just to be like, hey, you can move past this and like do something good for yourself and others.
And what you just said is that you had a roadblock, you see the roadblock for others, and you want to help them build a bridge to get over it.
Yeah,
That's
because
what you
it's
want to
bullshit
do.
and it pisses me off. It pissed me off. And I know others too, like all the amount of people that I know that have had MS on these calls with Career Karma and them not knowing at all about Voc Rehab, that pisses me off. That's proof that like I need to build websites and apps for resources for people to get this information because they're not getting it from people that they're supposed to be getting it from. And that's not okay.
It's not,
so,
but that's what we do. We go through it and we're the forerunners and we go through the hard shit so that the people behind us don't have to.
Well, it's just too, I've been trying to do this for 2 years, trying to figure out software development, work, like doing all this stuff without even Voc Rehab and without any help or Career Karma. So when I found Career Karma, I was like, oh my God, like this is support. Because that's the one thing is support other people and like helping other people. That's like the main thing. For real.
Totally. Get a hold of me on some social medias. I will lift your stuff up. I've got a pretty good platform going, so I will lift your stuff up. I will connect you with some people to get you going where you need to be going, wherever you decide to go. That's part of who I am. I'm a complete extrovert now, again, for once. And I just want to lift other people up. So seriously, get a hold of me on Twitter or something, and I will send you all the resources that I can to help you.
I really appreciate that. And again, I just want to kind of same thing. I want to show people, like, I want to be an advocate for myself and others to be like, hey, you can do this. And like, you don't have to be a victim. Because that's the other thing that I don't like,
Katie,
with a lot of things. What up?
You're already an advocate. You're up here. You're on something that's going to be posted. You're an advocate. Don't say I want to be, because you already are, honey. And your heart's in the right place.
Yeah. I actually
I always joke that
love this.
What up?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. No, I was just saying, whatever boot camp I end up going to, I joke that I'm going to be the poster child. Like, she had MS, can do it. You can too. But I also want to be that person to be like, So.
Yeah, so I actually love this, and notice that I was just silently admiring this conversation unfold. But that's actually like like you mentioned, it's a huge part of what this whole company is really about. And it's really like breaking into that reality of it needs to be by the people for the people, right? And so
Yeah.
the people that, you know, come after you will like seek like inspiration and like the wealth of knowledge and wisdom that, you know, you've gained throughout your experiences and your journey. And I can see like how passionate you are about like sharing that. And I even like would ask you like, you don't need to wait until, you know, you develop a skill set to build apps and like do all these things. Writing is like a powerful tool. Like the way that you were just able to, you know, speak your truth, and like I could tell that energy from that, right? Like I'll actually read this one. So there's a lot of different quotes like that I find online that are really interesting about just the act of writing, and kind of publishing it on the internet. And so writing is thinking on paper. Becoming a better writer makes you a better all-around thinker. You learn to communicate more clearly and persuasively. The world's top minds became brilliant through the habit of writing. Writing is how you too can realize your potential. And I'll add that by doing so, by documenting your journey, by putting it out there, it actually interpollinates with other people. You have no idea who will come across whatever it is that you write or speak or think. And it's actually incredibly insightful that one tweet, right? Like one tweet, one blog post, one article, whatever it is, like even this video, it may impact the trajectory of someone's life completely. And that's kind of like a very interesting like concept to think about, especially in this day and age where Katie, like where are you living currently? Or
I
where
live
are
in
you
like
at?
the greater Denver area.
Right. And I've personally never been to Denver, but like, you know, like we're connecting in where, you know, thousands of miles away. And it's kind of very intriguing how you can really impact, like your reach is a lot like bigger and broader than you really thought. And so like Mia was mentioning before, we are pushing, you know, like I saw how you had sort of frustrations about like squads and people not really participating or like not being active. And so one of our solutions to that is kind of having like this town hall or this area or a platform where everyone in the community can kind of communicate with each other and interact. And that's what discussions is all about, right? It's kind of like a town hall or a forum where you can ask questions, you know, share about yourself, provide resources, answer, just like interact with the greater community. And one thing that I will add as well is that we have an entire wonderful forum called Add a Chapter, where Mia's posted her story. I know that Lauren's posted her story. I posted mine. The founders have too. Feel free to like go through that, read some very inspirational. We have actually like, it's kind of mind boggling how incredible of like a community that we really like are developing and like growing. And as people like you with MS and Mia with her disabilities like speak and are advocates as, for all of these, you know, real like in-depth causes, that kind of like that seed kind of plants into like a bigger, larger, you know, movement. And it's really important to get like to start that, not by waiting for like software development skills, because that's going to be super important too as your journey unfolds. But a very simple way to start that is just by sharing it like you just did right now, and writing and all of these wonderful things. So Katie, I wanted to thank you for sharing, and Mia, obviously, like with every other, you know, she never ceases to really amaze me and kind of leave me in awe. So I appreciate both of you for like sharing that.
One thing
For
I
sure.
would
And I'm
like
sorry
to
if I
say,
interrupted. So I
you're
apologize too if
fine.
I interrupted.
One thing I would like to say, and it's one of the main things that have impacted me for a really long time that I just really want to share with you guys. It's from a show called After Earth. It was developed in 2013. It's got Will Smith and his kid in it, but there's a quote in there that changed how I attack my life. And it says, "Fear is not real. The only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. It is a product of our imagination, causing us to fear things that do not at present and may never exist. That is near insanity. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice.
I could not agree more. And I think with that, that was, you know, a pretty powerful workshop there. It did, you know, go and kind of, you know, went beyond the scope of like website development and everything. But I think that it's also super important to, you know, sprinkle that with every little event that CK is all about, because, you know, that at the end of the day, like, you know, we're people helping people, and it's all.
When do my
that's what the
events
mission.
ever end on time?
No, this is really great. And so Katie, I'll actually, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and like reach out to you as well. I think that we have
sure.
a lot of like very interesting opportunities present. And so again, I appreciate every one of you all for joining us tonight. And again, Mia, like you've been incredible throughout, like super incredible help throughout this whole process. So thank you again.
Always, you know, I'm here for whatever.
All right. So with that, I think we're going to wrap up. I will be reaching out to a lot of you individually because, again, we do have a really cool new feature that we're rolling out in about 2 weeks. It's kind of like a news feed where you're kind of familiar with the social media of, you know, you have a news feed and it kind of pre-populates with new discussion posts, comments and likes. The idea of it is to connect with a greater community together and, you know, get these stories out there and kind of interpollinate ideas in that way. So I'm really excited about that. We do have a beta tester program. And so if you're at all interested, I'm going to go ahead and reach out to each one of you individually. And we also have a really awesome web app that you guys can go around and play with. So thank you all so much. And until next time, let's break in. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.